My band director found my drawings of him. Now, I'm telling this story as, I'm way removed. I won't tell my age. Not that I'm ashamed of my age, but I'm way removed from this event that I'm about to tell y'all about. I was a child. Okay? I was a teenager. I was in high school. I'm not that anymore. All right. We are adults. I'm telling y'all, and y'all could judge younger me all y'all want. I don't care. I don't it's no longer relevant. Okay. Just know that this was way in the past. I do not have a band director at this moment in time, and I am not drawing people. But I want to take y'all back to a time where I was a freshman in high school, and there was a lot going on, and you just in a new predicament. You're in a new situation, and you're trying to navigate it just like everybody else. You know what I mean? um some of the names have been changed, while I tell you all of this to protect some people's anonymity. Not that it's a crazy, not that it's that crazy of a story to where I got to protect people's anonymity, but I will do so out of respect. um so I want to start off by telling you about a man, about my band director, so that you get the full scope of what's going on. So, and we'll call my band director Mr. Ruddy. Let's give you some. Let's give you some visualization. Mr. Ruddy is a white man with a cul-de-sac, um, skinny arms, beer belly, probably maybe let's say 240, about 5'8", 5'9", Irish, proud Irish man. Um, skinny legs, love to wear khaki shorts and all of that with the cargo shorts and all of that type of stuff. He played he's a good percussionist. I ain't gonna lie, he was a good percussionist. He played the drums, and so that's where his musicianship came from and all of that. He was a band director. He was a band director at my school for over 10 years. Um, I think I kind of broke the mold when it came to a lot of his students, not from the standpoint of like from a musical or talented standpoint, but mainly from from a standpoint of, wow, you really been running it up here. And I'm just gonna take this a little bit differently. And I had help, and we'll get to that. Just some more insight about Mr. Ruddy. Mr. Ruddy, he was he's not a typical teacher, but he was your typical band director, is what I've come to know. Not really, but like in some senses, you know what I mean? Like, as far as like being loud and boisterous and all of that type of stuff, and being very passionate about the craft, yes. But Mr. Ruddy would go above and beyond, way above and beyond the call of duty. Mr. Ruddy was very rude. Okay, Mr. Ruddy would be just very inappropriate in many instances, and Mr. Ruddy he would just say some off the wall stuff. He would say a lot of off the wall stuff. For instance, um, we're the band, so we're about to play the Thanksgiving Day parade or whatever. We're preparing for the Thanksgiving Day parade, so we had practices every day, and we had extra practices and all of that type of stuff. We're preparing for this and for that, and he tells this young lady, she's a freshman. We're sophomores at this time. The story I'm telling you about, we were freshmen, but in this instance, we're sophomores when we're new sophomores. And he tells this girl, he just sees her. She plays the xylophone. She's heavy set. She's a heavy set young lady. And he goes, hey, princess. That's not her name, but anonymity. Hey, princess. She's like, yes, Mr. Ruddy. And he's like, you're going to be at the Thanksgiving Day parade tomorrow, right? She's like, of course. He goes, good. You're too big for a turkey anyway. And walks off. And his wife is right there to pat him on the back as they just walk off into the sunset, leaving his girl heartbroken and like and confused and ashamed for whatever reason. Like, what was the point of that? Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, Mr. Ruddy would just do stuff and just say stuff and just be this very inappropriate person. You know what I mean? Like, he was always crazy. And so for a long time, you know, there's such thing as band camp. I took him very seriously up into this moment. I'm sitting on the I'm sitting on a bus, and it's a bus full of ninth graders. We're about to go do our first performance and all of that type of stuff. This is right before school starts. It's the first football game of the season and all of that. And the bus is rowdy. We a bunch of ninth graders. We're about to start high school and all of that type of stuff. This is a crazy world. And Mr. Reddy hops on the bus and he's like, all right, everybody be quiet and get ready for performance. And he would always mess that part up. He would always mess that part up, ironically. And he said he would always say, get ready for performance. Get ready for performance. Like it was a lot of PH stuff happening right there. And but he was like, all right, everybody shut up and get ready for performance. So everybody looked at him. I'm not me. I'm chilling. I'm the type of person that I think about my moves. You know what I mean? Like I feel the situation out. I read the room. I'm very quiet. Like when I first start school and all of that type of stuff, I first start a new year and all of that. All of the teachers, they just think that I'm quiet. And then everybody's like, all the classmates, they're like, nah, he's not quiet. Just give him a couple of weeks. Give him a couple of weeks. I feel things out. I'm not sitting there like, wait till I get crazy and nothing. It's like, what does this class call for? Who's in the class? What's going on? And all of that type of stuff. I assess the situation. And so I'm in assessment mode. You know what I mean? So I'm not my full blown self yet. And so so everybody just looks at him and then they go back to like yelling and screaming and doing it, whatever it was that they were doing. And Mr. Reddy just goes, ah, do it. And my friend Lance and I, we sitting there, and that's how we got cool. We just started busting out laughing. And that was the last time that I took him serious. I'm like, I've never met an adult like this before. So moving along, one more story, just to let y'all in on who this man is and who we're talking about here and how we got to where we got to. Okay. So Mr. Ruddy would I've never seen a person in my life plan to yell at somebody, to plan to snap on a group of people. You know what I mean? Like he was like, all right, and plan the precise time and when it was going to happen. He started class one day after a weekend of us, doing performances and playing football games. We would have two-a-days and stuff like that. We wouldn't get back to like 1 a.m. in the morning and stuff, crazy stuff like that. And so he was like, all right, everybody sit down, take your seats. We're going to practice for 30 minutes. And in the last 15 minutes of class, I'm going to yell at y'all. I'm like, what is going on? Well, who is this person? Who is this man? So he was playing snaps. One time he told us, the band, he was like, the band parents, they want me to feed y'all breakfast before we go on these early performances and stuff. They want me to feed y'all breakfast before the games and stuff. And everybody was like, yeah. He was like, he went on this tirade about how he wasn't going to feed us and how we need to come have already eaten. And he said, y'all need to eat y'all frosted flute flakes before y'all come to the games and before y'all get on that bus. Y'all need to have eaten. I'm not feeding y'all. And I'm like, okay, all right. All right. It gets worse, but I'm just giving y'all a lot of the light stuff. So I'm in this man's class. So I had him, I'm in the 9th grade. So I had him for homeroom and first period. And at our school, we had first period before we had homeroom. Right. I guess, well, the reason for that is they wanted the kids to get to school on time. And so homeroom would kind of be like that buffer or whatever. So they would have homeroom, they would have first period first. So if you were late to school, you were late to class already. So you late twice and all of that type of stuff. So I had this man back to back. I had him back to back. It was just all Mr. Ruddy nonstop. Just all Mr. Ruddy. It was all about Mr. Ruddy, all Mr. Ruddy, all day and all night. I had him in the beginning of the day. I had him at the end of the day. It was just, and it really just consumed our lives. It really just consumed our lives. Um, and I began to feel the effects of it. And so he's just saying all of this crazy stuff to us day in and day out. You see him in the morning, you see him at night, you see him in the middle of the day, because you have to have band lunch and all of that type of stuff. I literally stopped going to lunch. Like to that lunch, I would go to the lunchroom. I'm like, it's too much of you all day and all night. And so it just becomes a lot, right? And so at 14, 15 years old, what do you do? And so we're 14, 15-year-olds. I was in the drum line. And so the drum line, we had a few freshmen in the drum line, and a few of us were artistic, ARTistic. You know what I mean? And we were creative. And so we would laugh, we would joke, we would giggle and stuff, and we would laugh at the stuff that Mr. Ruddy would say. And one day, so our school, that this doesn't even matter, but our school broke off, and like where all the ninth graders, we went to this thing called the annex, because this is where this took place. The event that I'm telling you about, it took place in the annex. And so by this time, we're acclimated. We know who this man is. We know what he's about and what he's not about and all of that type of stuff. But, we're 14, we're 15 years old. And Mr. Ruddy would, we would laugh. He would say, and it's really all him. We're paying attention. But when you say and do crazy stuff, we're going to laugh, and we're not really going to hold it in. Of course, I'm not belly laughing, and I'm not guffawing or anything like that. I'm snickering and stuff. I'm trying to keep it in and all of that type of stuff. But if you saying something silly, for all intents and purposes, I'm probably going to laugh. And so it was a lot of that going on. And Mr. Ruddy's way of punishing us was to make us go and sit down. Now, what good does that do? Oh, you can't practice now. You can't practice, but you're going to be mad at us when we can't perform, right? So he would sit us down, and and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm trying to get better at my instrument. I'm trying to get better at this music. I'm not going home to play the bass drum. Are you kidding me? I'm not going home to practice the bass drum. I don't care what anybody says. I got other stuff that I'm doing at this point in time. I was playing the piano at my dad's church and all of that type of stuff. I had so much going on. I'm like, bro, I either get it now or I don't get it at all. This doesn't make any sense. And so he would make us go sit down if we laughed or if we were talking too loud or whatever. Keith, go sit down. Omari, go sit down. Joffrey, go sit down. And so we're sitting in what is the multi-purpose room. We're still listening to them practice, but we can't practice. You no longer have a drum line, but you mad at us. This makes even less sense as an adult. And so after a while, you just get tired of it. And I started drawing the man. Again, it's like maybe like the second half. You buy a new notebook for a new class that you have and all of that. It's like the second semester of the year. The second semester of the year. So I got a new notebook or whatever. Maybe like an extra notebook, because maybe I didn't know what notebook was going to be for what class just yet or whatever it is. But I had a notebook, like just a free notebook. It wasn't really like sequestered for any class just yet. So I just started doodling in it. And a lot of, if not all of, the doodles began to be about Mr. Kelly or Mr. Ruddy, excuse me. About Mr. Ruddy. We're not gonna make that mistake again. And so Mr. Ruddy, he would sit us down a lot. And he would sit the whole ninth grade section, because it was just us. It was just the ninth graders, because we had split off from the rest of the high school because they were redoing the school. So they put us in a whole different building from the rest of the school. And so So we're just accumulating, like whenever he goes to sit us down, we're just accumulating drawings and stuff like that. We just accumulating drawings. Like we just drawing stuff. Hey, look what I drew. Hey, I drew this. I drew this time where he said X, Y, and Z. Or I drew this time where he said da 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 da. Like we're drawing real events. We're drawing stuff that actually happens. I would, and I forgot to mention, like in regards to his appearance, I'm not trying to be funny. Back then I was, not so much anymore. Mr. Ruddy had he had flat head syndrome. Let's just call it what it is. Now we know what it is. You know what I mean? He had flat head syndrome, so the back of his head was really flat. And so what I would do, my favorite thing to do, was to draw this man on the margin of the paper. Like I would, do I have any paper here? I think I do. Do I? Is this? Nope. Okay. But y'all know what a margin is. Y'all know what a margin is. I would just draw him on whatever the margin was on the paper. You know what I mean? If you see what's all these notes? I don't know if y'all can see this. Oh Lord, it's too bright. All right. The margin of the paper, like the side of the paper right before you get to the 3 points and the 3 holes and stuff like that, or the all of that, or all the rings and all of that type of stuff. That little line right there, just to tell you this is where you start writing at. I would draw him on that. A lot of times that was like my favorite type of drawing. Just to just experience how like just how flat his head was and all that stuff. And so so we all did it. We all were laughing about it. We all would make them and stuff like that. Just the 3 of us. Shout out to Joffrey, not as much as me and O, right? Me and O, we would draw them all the time. And I'll be honest, O took it to another level. Like O was much better at this than I was. O could really draw. Right. I was cool. Like it was just a pastime and stuff like that. It was just a pass the time to be silly. If I'm in a class and I'm done with my work or there's nothing to do in the class or whatever, yeah, I might draw a Mr. Kelly, Mr. Ruddy picture with Mr. Ruddy picture and all of that type of stuff. And I knew I was going to do that. I would draw them and stuff like that, and in my downtime and all of that type of stuff. So much so that I would say half the notebook was full of those drawings. It wasn't just my drawings, but a lot of them were mine because it was my notebook. And so it kind of became like a competition, like who could draw better, who could make the funnier cartoon and all of that type of stuff, right? But Omari would just have these elaborate photos, like with captions and stuff like that, with them saying stuff and stuff like that. A lot of those events really happen. Like Omari would draw Mr. Ruddy dunking and all of that type of stuff, and dumping on the Fisher Price court and all of that type of stuff, and just silly stuff. You know what I mean? He after a while he drew, and this is important. After a while, he drew pictures of Mr. Ruddy's family and his kids and stuff like that. Now, I never went that far. All my pictures was just of Mr. Ruddy. And none of it was crazy. None of it was like, this is vulgar content that y'all are coming up with. None of that. It was none of that. It was just like, all right, you're going to sit us down. We're going to draw some pictures of you. You know what I mean? Like, this is what you get. It was, in a way, it was our way of getting back at him. Like, when we look back on it. So I'm in English class. And English class is like one of my favorite classes. And at the time, I thought I had a really dope teacher. You know what I mean? I liked her. She liked me. And I probably liked her because she liked me. She would call on me a lot, and I would pay attention a lot in that class. English was always one of my better classes, was always one of my better subjects. And so I'm in class, and maybe I didn't have time to go to my locker or whatever it was, or like, my locker was too far or something, or I just forgot it, because sometimes you plan out the day, like, all right, I ain't about to come back to this locker. The next few classes are going to be over here. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this, I'm going to take this, and I'm going to head there, right? for whatever reason, I didn't have my notebook for that class that day. But guess what notebook was in there? You guessed it. The Mr. Ruddy drawing notebook was was in there. And so um I take that out. I take that out of my book bag, getting ready for class. At this time, we were studying Romeo and Juliet. I remember that we were literally talking about Romeo and Juliet, and I'm getting my notebook out and all of that type of stuff. I'm like, all I got is the Mr. Ruddy notebook, or well, whatever it is. So I'm flipping through the pages and all of that. DJ, my man DJ, shout out DJ, is sitting maybe 2 seats behind me, and he sees the Mr. Ruddy notebook. He sees the drawings and he goes, "Hey Keith, is that Mr. Ruddy?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I know it's about to happen, yo. I know what is about to happen. I know what's about to happen. I know what you're about to do. I know this is about to be a thing. So he goes, "Let me see." And I'm like, "Here." I hand it back to him. After a while, like, you start hearing the commotion, you start seeing people laughing. And I'm embarrassed, not because of who it is. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not thinking I'm about to get in trouble. I'm embarrassed because it's like, look at my drawings. Like, I'm not a drawer. Like, I'm just being silly. You know what I mean? So I'm kind of embarrassed a little bit. I'm like, I hope they don't think I'm dead serious about these drawings or nothing. Cause I'm not. Like, these drawings don't consume my life. I don't think I'm drawing for anime or anybody anytime soon or anything like that. And so after a while, like, it circulates throughout the class, and this is all before class starts, which is a good point to make. This is all before class starts. So in walks the teacher. I'm not gonna save her anonymity just because I don't have the where. I could barely do what I'm doing right now with Mr. Ruddy. And so she walks in, Miss Dwyer walks in. Yeah, we just gonna say names. Yeah, it is what it is. So Miss Dwyer walks in, she sees everybody laughing, passing around a notebook and stuff like that. It looks like what it looks like, you know what I mean? And she's like, what's the commotion? What y'all passing around? And it was like, they was like, Keith drew pictures of Mr. Ruddy. And I'm like, man, I ain't draw all of them. I ain't draw all of them. I ain't draw all of them. And she's like, let me see. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, yo, just give me, like, let me just have my notebook back. You know what I mean? Like, I'm asking for it back. And everybody's just passing it around laughing. I'm asking for it back. And she goes, let me see. And I'm like, what are you doing? And so she starts flipping through it and she's giggling and stuff like that. And I'm like, all right, I literally was like, all right, you had your fun. Let me have it. Let me have my notebook back. You know what I mean? Now the bell has rung. You know what I mean? Now it's time for class. All of that was like, this is as simple as, oh, okay, class. Okay, Keith, put the notebook away. Let's start class. That's all you had to do. That's all that it had to be. No, Miss Dwyer is going to blow this thing up. Why? Because Miss Dwyer is a first year teacher and she wants to make friends. She wants to make adult friends. She wants to make faculty friends. And she takes this upon herself to whistle blow on your boy to obtain better friends. Oh, look, I caught this kid drawing pictures of the faculty, and I want to show it to everybody to make sure that we get this kind of riffraff off the street. This is the type of time that she's on, or that she's about to be on, in my opinion. And so she's like, I was like, all right, I'm like, I'm over it. I'm like, all right, give me my notebook back. Time to start class. I'm very serious. Like, I haven't been kicked out of class in mad long. I haven't been kicked out of class since the 7th grade. Like, I'm on a great run right now. I'm not being kicked out of class, like, with the exception of being kicked out of Mr. Ruddy's classes, which I don't even count those. Right. Like, but 6th and 7th grade was really bad. Like, I was getting kicked out every day for nothingness. And so here we are again. Like, I don't got time for that. Like, I'm in a whole different chapter of life. Give me my notebook back. And so she's like, no. She's like, no, I'm gonna tell. And the whole class is like, oh, like, for real? You about to tell? And I was like, for what? She's like, this is inappropriate. I'm like, it's not that serious. It's really not that serious. And like, no one has to know about this. Like, it's literally, haha, give me my notebook back. You know what I mean? She's like, no, I'm going to tell. I'm going to tell. And so the whole class is like, nah, she's not going to tell. She's not going to tell, Rob. She's not going to tell. The whole class is like, nah, she bugging. She just playing with you. She not going to tell. And she was like, no, I'm going to tell. So out of nowhere, as fate, as luck, none of these things I believe in, as these things would have it, guess who walks past? Close. Mrs. Ruddy walks past.
And this is what it feels like. And this is what it feels like.